Hi all, welcome back to a new video on the channel. Hope you're all doing well. Today we're doing something a bit different due to the lack of games on this weekend, because so many teams in the National League South are doing so well in the FA Cup so far, which is great to see. There's no complaints. We're going to do a bit of a different video, have a roundup of all the week 11 results. We will predict the 3 games that are being played this weekend and even look at a bit of transfer news as well. So if you do enjoy it, please like, and let's get into it. Right, so as you can see, slightly different setup this weekend. Let me know if you like it, because I'm happy to do this more often. But in front of us, we have got the fixtures that will still be taking place this weekend. So that includes Farnborough versus St Albans, Hampton and Richmond versus Dartford, and Weymouth versus Tonbridge. Obviously, all teams that have been knocked out of the FA Cup, so won't be competing in the fixtures for that weekend. We'll get to those in the end and do that in the end in the normal format. So as I say, if you're not looking for any of this sort of stuff, then skip along, why not? But if we go to the week 11 results and have a little sum up, it's always nice to have a visual representation as well, just because obviously I'm always speaking, so a lot of people like to see things, I suppose. I don't know, I'm just chatting rubbish. But if we have a little flick through the scores, Braintree Town, as we can see here, 90th plus 4th minute equaliser for Braintree. That's a great result. I know they're at home, but Bath are such a good side this season, scoring plenty of goals. Scott Wilson did get one, puts him level at top of the league for scorers. The person who's competing with currently, Alfie Pavey, won't be too much for a problem now. He's playing up in the National League and has left Farnborough. So Scott Wilson, right up there for top goal scorer. As I said in my predictions video, would be, he scores bags of goals. Next up, obviously, you've got the Dartford Chippenham game. Oh, I finally went to a Dartford game and we finally won away. Me and my brother have been to 14 away games, over the last year or so, and haven't seen us win a game. This was finally the game. A brilliant performance. Really, really top-notch performance. Bradbury double penalty, Barzy getting a goal from a bit of a keeper's mistake, putting us 3-0 up at half-time in Dreamland. Josh Johnson, back on loan from Oxford. He's been here before. Great player. The fourth was a screamer. And, I don't mean to be, I'm not being biased, but Chippenham really didn't do much that whole game. Statham, unfortunately, just getting sent off for a bit of a time-wasting incident, which was the only downer on the day. Dover Athletic, Taunton. I know Dover, it doesn't get them out of the mud. They're still in a relegation zone. But Taunton, high-flying Taunton, exceeding expectations left, right and centre. For Dover just to get a point out of a really good Taunton side. I may be being a bit harsh, but I think it'll do them nicely. Moving on, you've got Hampton and Waterlooville, who played Hampton and Richmond. I've got something to talk about in a minute. That's the transfer news bit, but we'll get to that after. So Hampton and Waterlooville obviously losing 2-1, did get the early penalty goal. But Hampton and Richmond, who Dartford are playing this weekend, coming good. As I expected they would a bit late in the season. I still just do not think they're going to be one of the sides in and around the relegation at the end of the season. Coming good, getting a 2-1 win. Huge 3 points for them, and a big disappointment for Hampton and Waterloo. Steve King not having the expected start he might have wished for. Slough Town 0-0, nothing too crazy to talk about there. Two teams that I still believe are going to be right down there at the end of the season, fighting to stay up. So 0-0, just it seems a fair result. St Albans, this was a shock. I did put St Albans to win. They didn't win. Emerson, Zach Emerson, I believe it is, all 3 goals for Eastbourne. What a day for that young man. Fantastic result, because St Albans were on some top form, really top form. So to go and win 3-2 and be 2-1 down at one point, what a result. Tonbridge Angels and Hemel Hempstead Town, providing a fantastic game. Look how exciting that looks. You can just see it on the screen here. Greenidge getting that red card and a goal, of course. Guard 90th minute penalty, 3-3. It's just, that's what National League South all about. That's the type of result and game you love to go and watch and see. But George Williams getting a double there. Good to see him back. He wasn't playing when I went and watched Western-super-Mare versus Hemel. But Hemel still getting points on the board. Away from home, it's not an awful result, to be honest. Maidstone beating Torquay. Obviously, Torquay Marshall getting sent off very early doors. Really, really disappointing for Torquay. Puts them in 7th. Not as high as they would have liked to be at this part of the season. But a long way to go. And as I say, I'm sure they'll be up there no matter what. But nonetheless, Maidstone coming away, really, really picking up some form now. Maidstone look a really good side. 1-0 win away at Torquay is fantastic for them, especially as they're going to be one of the competitors come the end of the season. In Farnborough, I think I predicted a Welham win for some reason out of that one, which they nearly did until they conceded in the 90th minute, let alone conceding in the 45th plus 7th. That's a horrid way to draw a game, conceding late in both halves. But nonetheless, Welham United, again, another team that are just getting points back on the board, and you know they really need to get themselves out of a bit of trouble. But I still don't think they'll go down. Western-super-Mare, the dream start slowly coming to an end, not doing as well as I thought they may continue the really good spell they started on. Hasn't quite happened. Chelmsford basically winning the game within 30 minutes. Jones Wordsworth scoring in the 30th minute. I suppose it's one of those that it just looks nailed on. You can almost sit back and just really go for it when you are a good side like Chelmsford. Massive win for them. Their form has been rubbish, so that's a massive win for them. Then we got Worthing Truro City. Worthing, 2 red cards in that one. Nearly held it out until Brett goes and scores in the 90th plus 5th minute. We'll be absolutely gutting for Worthing after working so hard to try and keep all 3 points saved with 9 men. But it just wasn't to be, and that happens. And then last but not least, we've got Reece Murphy and Jordan Young, both of those 2 players hitting great form for Yeovil, I must admit. They're hitting fantastic form. Yeovil have gone top of the league. Really, really good stuff. You just can't complain. It's a great result. It's a really, really good result. Puts them top of the league. But, they should be up the top of their full-time squad with, so many ex-Football League players. They're sort of where they belong almost. So as a result, let's have a quick look at the table. Right, so here is our table. As you can see, Yeovil Town, as we've mentioned, sitting at the top, leapfrogging Taunton and with a game in hand as well. Fantastic run of form for them. 4 in a row now. But as I say, with the likes of these Torquays and Maidstones and Yeovils, where they're full-time, I think as the season goes on, they just get better, where a lot of these other smaller clubs with part-time players, where they're having to work full-time, then play football, it must be absolutely tiring. Less time to train, for example, less time to commit to the football, etc. So, you expect those teams to be up there. But as I say, Taunton Bath, the boys down south are running the league at the moment, the top 3 all from down south. Let alone the fact that you've even got Torquay in that playoff position as well. So I'm hoping Dartford make the playoffs, because by the looks of it, we may get someone down our end anyway, which would be great, especially if we get into those playoff eliminators and we have to play a Tuesday night one. Would be good to have a Bath or Taunton, nice and local for me. As I say, Torquay slipping down, a couple of really bad results for them. They'll be really disappointed to have lost 2 in a row, but that happens. Chelmsford, as we said, right back, 1 point off the playoffs. Really, really important win for them after that poor run of form. Hemel, look at that unbeaten run. Fantastic. Really, really good for them. St Albans, they're having a good run. They started so poorly that I'm sure they would have taken that a few weeks ago to be, back in the top 10. Dartford, look at that. 2 wins on a trot. Would have been right down there by the relegation if it wasn't for those 2 wins. Hallelujah. 2 massive wins. And the good thing to see was the game against Chippenham. We were actually playing well. Truro, as you can see, on a really poor run of form. Farnborough can't stop drawing. Eastbourne are just one of the most, I think, inconsistent teams in the league this year. You just don't quite know what you're going to get from them. Although I watched them at Yeovil and their performance was really good. If they keep performing like that, there's no reason they shouldn't be squeezing for a bit of a playoff push. And then we go down to a few teams. Braintree, crazy, four draws in a row, ridiculous. Unbeaten in 5 technically. It's just not, too many points don't pay much dividends. Hampton and Richmond, as I stated, finally getting themselves out of that relegation zone. And then you've got Tonbridge, who have fallen into the relegation zone. And then Welling, Dover and Havant and Waterlooville have all been stuck there. Steve King taking over at Havant and Waterlooville. And it's just not working out yet. But give the man time. He'll work his magic, I'm sure. He is a very good manager. So keeping the theme of doing a bit of everything different, the big news this week, for me personally as a Dartford fan, Tom Bonner signed for Havant and Waterlooville. When I first saw this news on the Havant and Waterlooville Twitter page, I can't hide my emotions. I was gutted. Tom Bonner for me was one of my favourite Dartford players ever, and to see him go there was a bit gutting. Luckily I did have time to sit down and actually read a bit of the article to find out a bit more, and it was more, he did have a bit of a short-term deal with us where there was a chance he would have sat on the bench against Welling in the FA Cup. Didn't need to come on because our sort of defensive duties were sorted. But nonetheless, Alan Dowles, manager of Dartford, was not prepared to, allow Tom Bonner to come and play on a sort of, on and off basis due to his work commitments. Therefore, Havant and Waterlooville were ready to offer something that we weren't. As much as I understand it, it is still gutting to see Tom Bonner in a shirt other than black and white. But it's a great, great signing for Havant and Waterlooville. And even if you only have him 1 in 2 or 3 weeks, he'll just bring so much to the team. It's unbelievable. So as I say, absolutely gutted to see Tom Bonner not in a Dartford shirt. But I really am hoping to, I'm going to be looking out for fixtures where he's playing this year, because I'd like to go watch him because he's probably been one of my favourite players since I've, had this massive love for the National League South in the last few years. So there's a bit of news. Let's get on to the last thing of the video, the predictions for this weekend. Right, first up, we do have Farnborough are taking on St Albans City. I'm not going to go too much detail on each of these predictions because we had a good run through of all the teams just before. But Farnborough obviously fantastic to go and get 2 goals late either side of the game, half time and full time. St Albans obviously a really disappointing home loss to Eastbourne Borough, especially after the form they've been on. Farnborough at home, they're always a good side. I say this every single video. They're a good outfit at home. They're just having a bit of an unfortunate start, losing their top striker, for example. But at home, I think they'll not do the business, get a point maybe. I'm going to go for my favourite. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. Game 2, Hampton and Richmond, Dartford. Man, I'm excited for this one. Hampton and Richmond, what a fantastic win for them. World of confidence for them. Dartford, what a fantastic win for us. 4-1 against Chippenham. Both teams high on confidence. Hampton and Richmond finally playing at home. Really looking forward to going as well because they've had lots of new developments and upgrades on the stadium. But this is going to be very biased and I'm so sorry. I'm not usually like it. But watching us on Saturday, unbelievable, away from home or not, was really chuffed with the performance, and I just think we're going to go do it again. I really do. I really, really think we're going to do it again. I think I broke the curse finally, so I'm going for a pretty narrow 2-1 Dartford away win. Last but not least, Weymouth Tonbridge. Both teams picking up a point recently. Both teams are definitely struggling this year. 1 point apart from each other. Not the seasons they would have hoped for. Weymouth I kind of expected to be down there, if that's not too rude. Tonbridge I expected to maybe be a bit higher up the table. But it hasn't happened. Tonbridge do sit in relegation. They are going away to Weymouth, who are a much better side at home than they are away. So for that reason, to save me going for all just draws and the typical 1-1 and 0-0s, I'm going to go for a 1-0 Weymouth win. There you have it, a bit of a different type of National League South video. I do hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to press that like button. Do subscribe if you're new around here, of course. And if this is your type of content and you want to see a bit more of this in future, maybe more transfer news and bits outside of just predicting results, then please do let me know in the comments because I really do enjoy making these. Until the next one, I'll see you around. Bye for now.